Hello, I'm Anna Marcos, and welcome to this special report, Watts Fighting for Peace. We wanted to do this report to take a new look at an area that's often in the headlines only when there's trouble. The Watts riots in 1965, murders, gang and criminal activity. But there's something else happening in Watts now, something else worthy of headlines. Violent crime and homicide rates have hit record lows, dips even more pronounced than the rest of the city. In this report, we take a closer look at what residents and police are doing. Screams of joy and victory echo through Imperial Courts. Cynthia Mendenhall, known as Sister Soldier of Watts, has just helped her 17-year-old neighbor get out of gangs and into a private school.
Oh, yeah? I snatched him so the devil couldn't be mad at me. I snatched him away from the gang. I snatched him away, and I feel good in my soul. He got hope.
For Sister Soldier, peace and violence live side by side. She is a community activist, a gang interventionist, and a former gang member. She lost two of her own sons on these streets.
It's time for us to take community back. Not the politicians, not LAPD. The community to make a stand and fight for the kids and the youth in this community. And we are suffering.
There's two more kids to save now, her grandsons who lost their fathers.
I love my granny because she do so much for us. I feel good.
Why?
Because I'm with my granny.
The three major public housing developments in Watts, Nickerson Gardens, Imperial Courts, and Jordan Downs, were the birthplace of the Watts riots in 1965. They have long been a hotbed of drugs, gangs, and all-out war with police. But something is changing in this neighborhood. Violent crime is plummeting to record lows.
In Jordan Downs, violent crime went down in 2012 53%, in Nickerson Gardens 72%, and Imperial Court 75%.
The only numbers that we see that are going up are property crime, people reporting burglaries from their cars, but we give that credit to the fact that people want to talk to us now. They come out and actually want to report crimes.
The three housing projects together have seen only 2 murders in 2 years. In the 10 years before that, there were 69 homicides, about 7 a year. Residents are now talking to the cops. Both sides share information when crimes happen.
Some of these developments, you couldn't even come inside of them, especially at nighttime. If you did come in, you had to come in with several units.
But now they have us out there each day. You have 10 officers out there doing foot beats. They have somebody to go to. The officers have created a rapport with the community.
So what's made the difference? For one thing, the Community Safety Partnership, a joint effort by police, city leaders, residents, and the Housing Authority of the City of LA. It uses residents as gang interventionists and peacemakers. It puts 10 extra LAPD officers in each of the 3 projects. Instead of exchanging bullets, these cops are more often exchanging jokes with residents.
I call it relationship-based policing, because the whole idea is that people will react and support you when they trust you. They will trust you if they get to know you and if you treat them respectfully.
We have a safer Watts. Watts has not been safe, this safe in decades.
Friday night, the LAPD's Community Safety Partnership cops are in the house for the Summer Night Lights program, an anti-gang initiative that keeps rec centers open on summer nights to keep kids out of trouble.
That's our goal for these kids. That was Dr. King's dream, and he didn't die for our kids to be dying in the street like dogs.
This bicultural party at Nickerson Gardens brings both blacks and Latinos together in a community where the black and brown divide often leaves a gaping hole. But not tonight.
Over there is like the worst part, but like where I'm over there, it's like good. Like there's no shooting or anything.
It's changing slowly but surely.
Not all Watts neighborhoods are doing so well. In nearby Gonzac Village, instead of a party, there's a memorial in the dark, an all too common reminder that lives here can be quickly snuffed out.
It's one of the smaller developments that we have, yet it's one of the most violent. In the last couple of
weeks, they had 4 shootings inside of here.
Watts is an area where most homes and businesses go in lockdown mode after dark, and metal bars grace doors and windows. While some of the projects may be getting safer for residents, for outsiders, they are still forbidden zones. People run transactions in the dark, then disappear when they see the unmarked police car and the camera. Only one friendly face comes out of the dark.
Good night.
It's been a quiet night, but police say they're always on the alert because even when it's quiet, trouble can suddenly break out. A report of a shooting brings patrol cars out. Later, a resident complains about a suspect with a gun, which leads to a police chase and an arrest.
The same location. He was running, it's going to be on the east-west alley, just
By Watts standards, a peaceful night.
No, I don't want you to get my face.
Well, I'm not kidding you.
Nighttime or daytime, success here is measured in the little things. A night mostly free of crime, young girls playing in their yard in broad daylight, the small signs of the saving of a neighborhood, one child at a time. Community members agree that changing the culture of Watts will take more than anti-crime measures. It will take rebuilding an entire community that struggles with poverty, racial tensions, lack of jobs, and lack of hope. In the second part of our special report, we take a look at a community in the process of rebuilding itself. Even the business of crime must make way for prayer here. That's the first order of the day at the weekly Watts Gang Task Force Council meeting. Residents from grandmothers to ex-gang members meet with police and city leaders to talk about anything that improves the quality of life in Watts.
The people that live in Watts should be the one that's cleaned it up.
These folk have been dumping this trash there.
But mainly they strategize ways to free Watts from the stranglehold of crime and gang activity.
I know that I could strap a rifle on my shoulder, unload it, and patrol my neighborhood myself if I want to.
This man is upset over the gang fighting between Black and Latino gangs in Gonzac Village, a smaller housing project.
Gotta bring the Latino gangs in on this, to the communication.
Gonzac has no programs like the Community Safety Partnership, or CSP, which is so successful in other projects.
We are looking to add on to the CSP program to include Avalon and Gonzac.
Police share information about a string of shootings and killings in July that affected the entire region. But the 3 major public housing developments in Watts, Nickerson Gardens, Jordan Downs, and Imperial Courts, stayed amazingly bulletproof.
You guys are doing something really good. Really good.
It's a community fighting to take back its neighborhoods. Police and residents say a new and improved partnership together, and meetings like this are having an impact. Some of the projects in Watts are enjoying their lowest crime rates in decades.
Watts was the worst is community, but now Watts is totally turned around, big time.
But many residents know it will take all of them to rebuild Watts. That fear of the gangs must make way for strong families at home. This Father's Day event at Nickerson Gardens honors fathers in the family.
It's good to know that in the midst of our brokenness, God has called us to survive.
Councilmember Joe Buscaino, whose 15th district includes San Pedro and Watts, hopes to rebuild the infrastructure. He will invest $18 million in Watts in the next few years. Plans include a new 4-screen Watts Star Theater, bringing in new health providers, renovating the Central Avenue corridor, cleaning up dirty alleys, and attracting jobs and business development in a place with few economic opportunities.
We've also done is bring in Rick Caruso, the developer of the Grove in the city. We brought his executives. We gave them a ride-along in a van of opportunities here for him and his team to invest in, and he's expressed some interest.
There are also plans to rebuild the Jordan Downs housing development.
You're looking at mixed use, retail there at Jordan Downs, redeveloping it, providing a safer and improving the quality of life there at Jordan Downs. We're just, with that, we feel, we hope that more private investment dollars will be coming to Watts.
But Buscaino takes community building to a whole new level as he brings his pillow and blanket to this sleepover with a family in the Jordan Downs housing development.
But just because in the projects don't mean we all bad people. Right. You know, because we human just like everybody else.
And why not just spend the night, live it, feel it, experience it?
Then a second sleepover at Nickerson Gardens with a Latino family. This time he brings his own wife and kids to spend the night.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this meal we're about to eat. We thank you for your guidance, your continued...
And it's my godson.
Watts deputy for the 15th District, John Jones, was homegrown on Watts streets. He and his East Side Riders Bike Club are committed to building community by inviting residents to bike rides and kickball events. They often join forces with the Latino Los Riders Bike Club. The group also fixes bikes for kids and hands out free sandwiches to the hungry.
What we're trying to do is change the culture of our neighborhood, and we feel if we're getting people out moving, riding bikes, playing kickball, walking around the park, then it changes how people think in our community.
This guy right here, he's my brother from another mother.
And there's a brighter outlook for schools in Watts since the Partnership for LA Schools, a nonprofit group, took over in 2011. Places like Jordan High and 99th Street Elementary have seen test scores shoot up, though they are still below state target goals. And while Watts schools struggle to improve, 4 Markham Middle School students prove that Watts kids can excel. These students just won the National Math and Engineering Science Award for designing a prosthetic arm.
It makes me feel good because people don't usually think of Watts as like winning or doing great things.
2 Latino kids and 2 black kids working together, a sign of hope for the community. And that's going to do it for our special report, Watts Fighting for Peace. I'm Anna Marcos, and thank you for joining us. Have a great day.